is that there is a lot of frustration right now. To be fair, both sides of this. Gina Carano, Star Wars fans clash. There was an article from Vanity Fair, Joanna Robinson and Anthony Breznican doing this story about hero worship turns to scorn, and it's really the story of a fan who identified with Gina and thought that she was powerful and thought that she was a bright spot in the Star Wars galaxy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, she made some statements on social media that she says she didn't intend to create divisiveness and offend people, but she made some comments and certain actions regarding the trans community, for example. And then she's also made some statements about joining Parler, a social media platform that is created basically for conservatives to be free of the fake news. But I would say, as someone who knows a lot of journalists, I think there's a lot of concerns about journalistic integrity and bias. And so that platform is highly controversial right now. The crux of this is separating the character you see on screen and the actor portraying that character. And can you leave it at the door when watching the story unfold on screen? Selfishly, as a Star Wars fan, we may not want to see the series suffer because we like the story. We want to see what the writers have planned out. We want to see that unfold. But there are also folks that have concerns about someone who is so open about their stance having a role in this galaxy. And so ours is kind of opening it up to you. You're someone who says that you have a challenge. You struggle separating the two. I'd like to know why you feel that way.
I genuinely cannot separate the two, because I look at this woman and all I see is the bigoted transphobe who felt the need to mock pronouns, who has joined I like, David, you're being very polite about the whole thing. I don't have the same restraint. Who has joined an alt-right social media platform, who regularly signal boosts homophobes and racists. Like, I look at this and I see this woman going, okay, so you personally, the woman I'm looking at now, is pro a section of the country that feels that people like me don't belong there. I cannot leave that at the door. And there's precedent for other reasons, not like hot button reasons, just there's precedent for other reasons in other forms, in other movies, other series, whatever, to just recast somebody. And that's what I think, if they have a story for Cara Dune that they want to play out, recast her. This woman does not need to be on the payroll. She does not need to be there.
I think it's interesting because you mentioned that. And so, for example, in America, you have the freedom of speech. You're able to say what you think. That is a freedom of America. And I think that the difference between, say, Gina, and then you have Luke. I said Luke Skywalker. Mark Hamill is incredibly vocal about his liberal political stance.
Right.
And I think the difference, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me, and I try and be on the outside of this. I have the easy job on this show because I've specifically made it to where I can say what I want, but I'm also the moderator, and so I can kind of gauge it. And so, as an outsider looking in, I would say the difference is because if you take a Mark Hamill compared to Gina's situation, Mark is trying to have a more inclusive. He has more inclusive views, and Gina's seem to be hurtful. Now, to be fair to her, she did retract her statements. In fact,
okay, she retracts her statements. She's like, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I learned my lesson. Now I'm gonna go make a Parler account and start retweeting racists." She has the freedom to say whatever the hell she wants. You're right. She is not free of the consequences of that. If I walk into work tomorrow and start insulting my boss, I have every right to say that. My boss is not under any obligation to keep me in their employ.
Mm-hmm.
You are not free from the consequences of what you say. And to the point, she has her opinion, but human rights are not an opinion. They are not up for public debate. Marie Wilson likes The Rise of Skywalker. I hate it. That's an opinion. Somebody's humanity based on who they are is not a matter of opinion. And for her to just be out there and be bigoted like this and to keep her job is horrifying. And this is like, like it is causing people to walk away. It's causing people to call for her to be recast. Like that's the consequence of this, is that they are losing audience by keeping someone like this on the payroll. It's like anytime Mark Hamill will say something a little more liberal leaning, people are like, well, you should keep the politics out and you've lost a fan. That's the consequence, is that he's lost a fan. Whether or not he cares that somebody takes issue with his, more liberal, like, I guess, more inclusive view, whether or not he cares, that's his business. But that's the consequence of that action. And I think the company needs to stand behind trans people. They need to stand behind the people who love them. And like, my whole thing is, I know there's some people who like can't relate because like they aren't trans. They don't know anybody who's trans maybe. So like my whole challenge to you, if you're out there and struggling with this, is pretend it wasn't about trans people. Pretend it was about something that affects you, be it your race, your religion, your gender, whatever. Pretend it was something specifically targeted at you or somebody you love very much. Would you want this franchise to stand behind somebody who made comments like that? Or would you want them to face consequences for the stuff they say? Like just change, sort of change the thing she's saying and change it to something more applicable to yourself. And then ask yourself if you'd still be okay with having her on the payroll, if you'd still be able to not, like, if you would still be able to separate the two. So that's what I put out to you.
Yeah, I think, and first off, I want to reiterate that here on Beyond the Blast Doors, like our biggest thing is that everyone gets their opinion, everyone gets to express their opinion, and everyone gets to be respectful. And I will say that I think that everything that you've said is incredibly honest and fair. I'd be kind of curious to find out how aware Disney, I would imagine Disney, Lucasfilm is aware of the scuttle about her comments on social media. I would be interested in knowing how they view it. Because here's the thing, Micro, we're on Twitter and we're in this, like, not a vacuum, but we're in the weeds of that Twitter community. And so, when I go on social media, trending in my area is #fire Gina Carano. But the casual fan probably has absolutely no idea. And I think the casual fan would be someone that would see The Mandalorian and not give two rips about her political views, her religious affiliation, what she does on the weekend. And so traditionally, and just to be fair, because you're being honest about how you view this, I think what she's done is wrong. And traditionally, I am someone who has separated what you see on the screen to what happens in real life. And I think the only reason why I'm even aware of what she said and how she's apologized, some would say apologize, some would say backtracked. I think that's fair to say. Okay. I think that it's fascinating to see the response and how big the people that are aware seem to be hurt. And for valid reasons, like you just shared, you feel like it's damaging to you.
But that's the thing within this community. Like you say, we're in a bubble, and I agree.
Mm-hmm.
We're in that bubble. First of all, so is Lucasfilm, so they can't not know. But also, too, like when we're in this bubble and we're like, oh, something like Dark Troopers, we're like, hey, that's great for like the people in the bubble and the people in the know. So why is it okay to cater to? I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, but to cater to the bubble when it comes to something in the grand scheme of human rights, inconsequential, Dark Troopers, which is exciting for the story, don't get me wrong, but it's like, in the grand scheme of things, inconsequential, to cater to that bubble for something like that. But then like be like, well, it's just the bubble who knows about this. So if the casual fans don't know, then why would we do anything? Casual fans don't know what Dark Troopers are, so why would you include them? Do you know what I mean? Like when are you catering to this bubble and when are you not? You need to cater when it matters too.
I think that Disney and Lucasfilm have standards that they stand for, and I would be curious. I mean, there has to be some conversation between Gina Carano's camp and Disney about moving forward, how she could even stay in at this point. Because again, my point is we are hyper aware of it. And because we're aware, we have feelings about it. But how big is the stream of complaints in the Disney and Lucasfilm? Because I think there's a far greater percentage that is unaware, not making a right or a wrong, but I think it will be interesting to see what happens. What is the story that's going to unfold? There's a theory that there's a theory that Cara Dune, every time she pops up in The Mandalorian, the child, it grows uneasy. There's a real likelihood that Gina Carano's character is not really a supporting character. She's more of a cameo. Maybe that character dies out. We have no idea of how this gets resolved. But I think it's going to be interesting because I think the longer this series continues and the longer Gina Carano is around, I think it's become more of a problem for the fans that are bothered and are not just bothered, just aware of what she's had and some of the things that she says she stands for. And again, I agree with freedom of speech, but also has to be a respect for all human life. And
you're not free of consequence, no matter what you're free to say.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.